Coming up today on the Leipzig Loko, with Lokomotive Leipzig, so far we've made our way through the month of October unbeaten. Hopefully that continues in the second round of the DFB Pokal when we take on Paderborn from the two Bundesliga. But first, Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga might not be unbeaten by that Paderborn game. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 75 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we host Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. Hopefully you can keep ourselves within touching distance of those teams who are in a European spot, and off the back of that we look to make our way through to the third round of the DFB Pokal as we travel away to take on Paderborn from down in the two Bundesliga. So if you're looking forward to that coming up in today's episode, and do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but we've actually played quite a bit of football off the back of yesterday's episode, which did include games in the Bundesliga against Wolfsburg and Cologne. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. The results in those games kind of went the opposite way of what you'd expect when you do look at the league table. We actually bet Wolfsburg and then lost to Cologne, albeit off the back of that they have risen up the table quite a bit. But since then we have got underway in the league phase of the Conference League. Thankfully, as expected, we did pick up some good results in those games. Just get rid of that friendly there because we don't need to worry about that. But first up, put up a fairly strong team as we took on HJK, and thankfully picked up a very good result here on the opening match day, actually on top of the Conference League after this, thanks to goal differential, a 5-0 win. First half goals to Angelo and Cueto, and second half goals to Amadori. Nicholas Conradi, a young centre-back who did come in from our under-19s just because we were a little bit short at left-back, because that's another position that he can cover. He got a goal off the bench, and also Bushuari picked one up as well. So thankfully a very good start there to the Conference League. And then in our most recent game in that competition, not quite as impressive in terms of scoreline, but still picked up a result away from home as we took on Munich. For this game, we did rotate a lot more. These guys, a lower reputation team than HJK, did pick up the result, but as you can see, both goals did come through penalties. No open play goals there. Benedetti picked up a double from the spot, but it does mean in the Conference League after two games, we find ourselves in a pretty good spot, albeit still lots of teams who have picked up 2 wins from 2 to start their campaigns. Hopefully we can continue on that path and make our way into that top 8 come the end of the league phase. Only 4 more games left in that part of the competition. In between those games, we did play 2 in the Bundesliga. First up, we took on Schalke at home. Those guys were just below us on the Bundesliga table. This was a pretty good result off the back of a red card in the 3rd minute to Billy Comedio. Because of that early red card, our take came on for Cueto, and we did just play without an attacking midfielder as per usual when we did get a player sent off. But at the half-hour mark, off the back of also putting Mastis on to attack our right winger as well as our left winger in Angelo, we took the lead. We were actually quite dominant in this game, and then a bit of a fortunate goal here late to Matty White off of the bench. But a really great performance there, one of the better ones we've had so far in the save. Slightly edged things in terms of stats, as you can see, especially through that XG. Also helped out by the fact we got a late penalty. Krasnicki had that one saved, so it could have actually been a 3-0 win. But 2-0 over Schalke with 10 men. Maybe they weren't so bad off when they used to have Scott Parker in charge after all. But then off the back of that, we did take on Stuttgart. This is a team that we kind of struggle against. Some of these teams who are expected to finish in that bottom half of the table from our time in the 2 Bundesliga are teams that do have our number a little bit, and thankfully we escaped from this one with a 1-1 draw. Stats-wise in this game, Stuttgart were definitely the better team, albeit highlight-wise it wasn't really shown too much, and this was the goal they scored. Angelo just sloppy on the ball there. Thomas actually would have been offside if that ball made its way through to him on the first time of asking, but unfortunately that touch there from Angelo did mean they grabbed a goal to go 1-0 up early. But then really good goal from us, that one. We did a lot of good work down our left-hand side. Eventually Escobar sets up our right back in Sicker. He picks up a goal, which does mean we grab a point from that game. And to be fair, based on stats, probably not deserved, albeit with the nature of that goal that we did give away. Kind of felt a little bit nice there to get that goal off the back of a little bit of a dodgy one, which we did concede. So what that means for the Bundesliga table is we are in 8th. not too far off a European spot. A win here would take us above RB Leipzig and into that Conference League qualifying spot that we did occupy come the end of last season. But that's going to be easier said than done, because we take on the team that has won the Bundesliga all the way back to where I can still not see it, 2011, 2012. It's Bayern Munich, and a win here would see those guys go on top of the table. As per usual, Julian Nagelsmann's men are looking pretty strong. This will be a tough time at the office, but we did beat them in the DFB Pokal a couple of seasons ago, and this one is at home, so hopefully we can make the most of them, having played some Champions League football of late. Hopefully that took their attention, albeit Shakhtar might not be the best opponent to be coming into a game against us. Was hoping maybe it would be that Newcastle game, which on paper would have been a lot tougher, even though the winning margin was exactly the same. But this is going to be a tough time in our first game of the episode, but hopefully we can pull off an upset, albeit a couple of injuries coming in to this game. Sika did pick up food poisoning, so unfortunately he's out for this first game of today's episode. Hopefully we'll be back in time for that cup tie against Paderborn, and also a couple of twisted ankles suffered around the same time by some backup players. Luca Campanelli, that one does mean that we are a little bit weak in terms of our European squad at the moment. At right back, Savochin will be starting in that position in today's episode, because he's the only right back left in our squad, albeit Amadou can cover there, one of our backup centre backs, and also Manuel, our backup balling midfielder, has that same injury. Those two players won't feature in either of the games. In today's episode, it does mean that Racine Bullock makes his way onto the bench as that balling midfield option, and hopefully, despite those injury concerns, we can get away with a half-decent result here against Bayern Munich. The only other change apart from those obvious ones with those injuries that we do have is that Benedetti comes in for Escobar, seeing as he's on a heavy workload as per usual, quite injury prone, so hopefully we can save him up for later in the season and it doesn't prove too costly in this game. Maybe it's a game we wouldn't have picked up many points from anyway if we do suffer defeat. If it's a close one, maybe I'll be questioning that decision, but we've got some good squad depth here at Lokomotive Leipzig these days, especially in comparison to the last couple of seasons, so hopefully we can get through this one unscathed and put out a decent performance at least here against Bayern Munich off the back of a pretty good October so far. There we are with our traditional 4-2-3-1. Bayern Munich, they are going with the same formation. It does look like a very strong team. The likes of Musiala, Garnacho, Kimmich in defensive midfield. This will be a very tough day at the office, but hopefully at home we can make the most of that advantage in early stages. It does look like we might have been on the front foot there, albeit first highlight is a throw-in to Bayern Munich. Vochin heads that one away. Did look like there we might have won that one back, and Mastis did get on the end of the ball there briefly, but unfortunately we clear it, and Kimmich is on the ball. Now Abada on the edge of the box squares that one. Thankfully, Caminio clears it away, and now Mastis might get a chance here on the counter-attack down that right-hand side. He starts to cut in field, thankfully does find a teammate. Cueto plays that one through for Amadori. Big early chance to Angelo. Lovely play there on the counter-attack, but unfortunately that shot does go straight into the path of Costa. But encouraging signs here early, at least in terms of stats. Would have been nice if Angelo did score that goal. Bit of encouragement off the back of a good start here against the reigning champions for so many years in a row now. Ball played into the mix of the air. Doesn't quite find Mastis, but Vochin far post for Amadori. That's the chance. He usually puts away the big, tall Italian striker. Unfortunately, that one goes over the bar, but it's been a pretty good start. Unfortunately, though, still locked up at 0-0, but early stages, the chances are falling in our favour. But as I say that, it is a free kick to Bayern Munich on the halfway line. Ravella plays that one out to Garnacho down the left-hand side, just starts to cut his way in field, running backwards slightly. Now Kimmich, just outside the box, we try and gang up on him. He plays that one all the way back to Upamecano, starts to jog his way forward, does the strong centre-back, and now almost playing as a right-back. Out on that side, big back pass there to Costa in goal, all the way forward to De Ligt. Right on the centre spot, now it finds its way out to Alphonso Davies. We try and get him here, just slow down that left-hand side, but unfortunately doesn't quite work, albeit good touch there from Blomayer, but then a bit loose, and it's back to Ravella again. Alphonso Davies is on the ball, puts this one in for Garnacho, back there to Ravella, squares it. Bauer back touch for Jamal Musiala. Some good build-up play, and unfortunately, we eventually go 1-0 down to Bayern Munich, and to be fair, It's their first attack of the game too, so that is a little bit concerning. We really should have scored before with those chances to both Angelo and Amadori, but unfortunately, good back pass there from the striker in Bauer, and Jamal Musiala tucks that one away and makes it 1-0 Bayern, just shy of the half-hour mark. And despite the fact that up until that stage it did just look like we might have been on the front foot, we are behind by 1-0. Also, Blomayer did pick up a yellow card just prior to that. Highlights it probably will be coming off at halftime, especially now that he is on a 6.4/6.5 going in to halftime. But honestly, didn't feel like that first half was too bad based on the highlights that we did see, apart from the fact that Bayern scored from the one of theirs that we did. So that's unfortunate. As I said, we'll make that change at halftime. We'll bring on Bullock for Blomayer also. Hurtado not doing too well, so Otey can come on for him off the back of doing a great job a couple of games ago in place of Comedio when we were down to 10 men. But that's a little bit harsh feeling, honestly, at the moment, being 1-0 down, but that is the effect of Bayern Munich. We get the second half underway with that scoreline, but it's been a pretty even game. Just need to be a bit more efficient with our chances in front of goal. Obviously, those ones to Angelo and Amadori might come back to bite us, but the first highlight here might be in our favour from a throw-in, albeit poor pass there. That was from Benedetti. Bullock actually recovers that quite well, and now Amadori up to Mestis, but that touch a little bit loose, and Bayern Munich do get back on the ball. Garnacho plays that one back to Alphonso Davies. Again, Davies here is on the ball, but we're looking quite threatening in these highlights. But unfortunately, no good quality shots there testing the goalkeeper as yet. The best chance, probably that Angelo won the best shot anyway, but the other ones have been off target, and that bit of play, we didn't even get a shot. Now Vochin starts to cut in field, but then loose touch, trying to make his way towards that near touchline. Garnacho wins it, and Davies starts to make his way down this left-hand side. This would feel very harsh if they made it 2-0 from this highlight. Garnacho starts to cut inside, and Ivizic takes a seat and watches that one go over his head, which is very frustrating. 2-0. I still don't know if the play in this game really deserves that scoreline, but hopefully we can continue to get on the front foot off the back of this and give them something to think about. But somehow, with two attacking chances in this game, Bayern Munich do make it 2-0, but that from Ivizic may as well have not made an effort. That was pretty pathetic there from our goalkeeper. He goes down to a 6.4 off the back of that, so thankfully I was right in criticising him. But now 2-0, that's a big mountain to climb with only 35 minutes left, albeit off the back of that goal, free kick in our favour. We look there for Amadori over the top, which to be fair, not a bad idea with his height, but unfortunately can't quite reach him. And again down this left-hand side, Bayern do look to go at us. Garnacho back there to Alphonso Davies, back up there to Garnacho off the back of that previous goal. It is a tackle there from Vochin. It's been blown as a penalty, but I'm pretty sure Editing Sean might prove this to be wrong, but it did look like it was just outside of the box. Vochin with a foul there. It's definitely a foul, and it's inside the box. Okay, I thought that would be a bit harsh. Did look like it was just outside in live time, and now chance here for Bayern to put this game to bed through Bauer from the penalty spot. Looks like he goes straight down the middle off the back of that. I think we're going to have to make some changes here. Vochin on that yellow card. We'll bring on Amadou in his place. To be fair, we may as well try it now that we are 3-0 down. Also, Mestis not doing too well. Krasnicki for him, and the same for Cueto. We'll bring on Xerxes. We'll chuck a few more players on attacking duties in that front three like we did in that Schalke game. And we did go down to 10 men, just see if that might help us find a goal in this game, which I feel like we deserve. But unfortunately, the start to the second half hasn't been too good. Concede that goal from Garnacho, and then a pretty close call that to be a penalty, but it must have been that tackle from Vochin. Bauer puts it away, and somehow we are 3-0 down, and with that penalty, the XG now actually looks like it favours Bayern quite significantly as well. But I still don't feel like we're actually playing that badly in this game. Just the fact that Bayern, when they have got on the front foot, have made the most of their chances. We're going to go attacking for these last 20 minutes also. May as well chuck Ryan, our left back, on attack, and also we'll see if Bullock going on support might make a difference. Of course, we've already used all our subs, so can't do any more. And right off the back of that, it is a free kick to Bayern. Bauer with a shot, thankfully. That one comes off the woodwork for the first time in attack. Bayern don't get a slice of luck. We clear our lines, still 3-0 down though, albeit Bayern might be on the attack yet again. Long throw, albeit Angelo there. Good work to win that one in the air. Plays it back to Benedetti. Nice one too. And Xerxes starts to make his way forward. Amadori just sneaking offside, but thankfully not looking for him just yet. Back to Benedetti into the mixer for Amadori. Did he get back onside? He was offside for a long part of that play, especially when Xerxes was on the break. Hopefully, he's got back and we can grab at least a goal from this game, which I feel is pretty well deserved for our player, especially in the first half. Thankfully, he must have got back onside. We'll encourage off the back of that. His 11th goal of the season already. Certainly got back to being our first choice striker. Here's the Italian, but good header there into that bottom right corner. Must have snuck back onside at some point. Don't even see a replay of that, and we make it 3-1. Hopefully, we can maybe grab a second goal in this game and make it tight late like we did against RB Leipzig a couple of episodes ago, albeit corner here to Bayern Munich. They actually keep that one. Nice play out there to Diop. He has a good chance there from a tight angle, but thankfully blast that one over the bar. Still only down by 2 goals, but running out of time. And now it is a free kick here for Bayern Munich. Connor Bradley, one of the better players in the game at this stage, which was a little bit weird. Was not expecting that to be a thing, but he took the free kick. Bayern do keep the ball yet again. Look to do us down that left-hand side. Thankfully, Oltay with a good header. Now, Bullock is on the ball, plays that one out there to Amadou, gets it straight back, does Racine, albeit runs that one straight to Musiala, and now Bayern might get a chance here again down that left-hand side. So I suppose that might be something we can work on going into our second game against them in the Bundesliga later this season. Benedetti, some good work. Then Xerxes, but somehow it falls to Bayern Munich. Thankfully, Musiala, that shot is saved from Ivizic, but fair to say Bayern getting some chances off the back of us, opening this game up a bit more and going more attacking, trying to find a way back into this game. Xavi gets that ball. Did look like one of our players there was going for an interception, but thankfully Ivizic again comes up with a good save. As Ryan picks up a yellow card, we'll get him to ease off tackles because to be fair, don't want a red card from this game. I don't think we're going to be able to pull this one back, but we'll go to a higher line late just to see if that makes a difference and also be a bit more expressive and go a bit more direct as well. But 3-1 down with only 4 minutes of added time. Honestly, hasn't been the worst performance from the highlights we've seen, but Bayern very clinical with their chances in front of goal, and we've wasted a couple of hours, and that has been a difference maker. We grab one of those early goals through Angelo or Amadori, and that might make a big difference to this game. That's a poor pass there down our right-hand side. I think that was from Amadou that time. Diop on the edge of the box just holds things up, plays that one back for Jamal Musiala. It's 4-1, and that feels really harsh from this game, but Bayern, as I said before, very clinical with their chances in front of goal. We have not been with ours, and that will be the difference maker. Super Bayern will go back to top of the table. To be fair, don't think they've actually been there that much so far this season, off the back of an early loss to Wolfsburg, but Musiala picks up a double, makes it 4-1, and unfortunately, we do suffer defeat. In the end, Bayern actually looked like stats-wise, they were quite in control of that game, but the highlights did suggest otherwise. As I said, we grabbed a couple of those early chances. It might have been a different story, but unfortunately, it wasn't the case. It took us until the 70-odd minute mark to grab a goal in this one, and by that stage, Bayern had put 3 past us, obviously not helped as well by giving away a penalty, even though it did look like a very close call, but unfortunately, we don't make our way into that Conference League spot and jump above RB Leipzig. We suffer a 4-1 defeat to Bayern Munich. Hopefully, we can turn things around in the Cup when we take on Paderborn. So a bit of a hammering in that first game of today's episode, albeit as I said, didn't actually feel like we played that badly. Hopefully, we can play to a similar standard against the team from down in the 2 Bundesliga in the second round of the DFB Pokal in Paderborn. I think if we can do that and finish a bit better, we should make our way through to the third round. As you can see, up until the most recent game, these guys had really been struggling, only slightly above where the media predicted them to finish in the 2 Bundesliga, up in 13th instead of 15th off the back of that most recent win. But before then, they were getting beaten, and quite handsomely as well. So hopefully this is a very winnable game for us in the second one of today's episode. And I think for quite a few years in a row now, we should make our way through to the third round of the DFB Pokal. Those same injuries we had from the first game, those serious ones, albeit both players are on general rehab. But thankfully, Sicker is back from his food poisoning, so he can come in and start it right back in place of Vochinov, back of giving away that penalty in that Bayern Munich game. Still not too sure how close that was. We'll check when I edit the video, but it did look like a very close call. But it's time for us here to reveal our team going to this game, and there's quite a bit of rotation. With it only coming a few days off the back of that previous game against Bayern Munich, Sicker is in there at right back as we suggested, but also quite a few other changes. Griffiths comes in for this one, and goalkeeper in the cup games. I've remembered that this time around. Also, we've got Paulo Cesar at left back, Escobar back in that deep lying playmaker role. Both our wingers have been changed, so it is going to be Bushuari and Krasnicki, the link up from last year, and as well as that, Medi White gets to start up front in place of Amadori. All those other players on a heavy workload, so hopefully giving them game time in a game like this does mean that they will be a bit happier, and hopefully we can put out a good fresh performance here with a lot of rotation, and hopefully we can make our way through to that third round of the DFB Pokal, as I said, based on our form so far this month, and also that Bayern performance. Even though the scoreline was quite brutal, I think if we play like that against the team going as poorly as Paderborn have been, we should be okay, albeit about 10 minutes in. We are away from home, of course. Nothing has happened yet, but the first free kick is in our favour. Escobar tries to play that one over the top. It's cleared by the goalkeeper. Thankfully, our centre-backs are still deep enough. Comedio will play that one forward to Blomeyer. Nice ball over the top for Krasnicki, who controls that quite nicely. Long range shot and forces a really good save there out of Wurmblad. That would have been some start from Krasnicki in this game. Of course, not registered for European competition, so you'll have to make the most of his time here in the cup. Unfortunately, Escobar can't quite get on the end of that corner, but good early chance there to Krasnicki. Unfortunately, a good save denies him, but it is up to the 20-minute mark now. Does look like we're slightly on the front foot, but only 2 shots so far. Hopefully another one comes from the throw-in. Cesar will find Escobar, gets that one back, plays it back to him. Now White just on the edge of the box, back there to Escobar. Tries to get a shot off. Weston there does try and punch that one clear, and it finds its way to Krasnicki. Heads that one home, and Wurmblad, not Westhahn. That is a absolute shocker from him in a goal, albeit they're trying to blame Justvan, which seems very, very harsh, considering how this goal was scored. The goalkeeper here in Wurmblad, I'm not really too sure how that's Justvan's fault, honestly, but the goalkeeper with a poor punch there, and Krasnicki puts that one home and makes it 1-0 fairly early in this one, coming up to the half-hour mark. And thankfully this time we do take an early chance. Hopefully that continues throughout the rest of the first half, as Paderborn have now gone on the front foot for the first time in this game, eventually getting a shot off, but thankfully Krasnicki making a difference. And with 10 minutes left in the first half, a free kick in our favour. Good work there from Sicker to win the race to that ball before Justvan. Now Comedio with a long-range shot from outside the box that comes off the post. That will save Paderborn on this occasion, albeit we are still on the attack. Escobar just gets that one back to Paulo Cesar, but so far does feel like we are peppering Paderborn here. Hopefully we can grab a cushion goal sooner rather than later. Now Bushuari makes his way inside the box. Good save that time from Wurmblad. It falls to Sicker, but unfortunately can't do anything more from that highlight. But so far, as I said, well and truly on the front foot in this game. A cushion goal would be nice before half-time. At this highlight, Paderborn do control the ball well off the back of a throw-in, albeit still looking to make their way out of defence. Good work there from Medi White, doing some good work trying to press that ball and get it back for us here, nice and high up the pitch. We eventually do there through Daniel Cueto. Now Krasnicki, what can he do? Nice ball there for Cueto, shoots from a tight angle and it falls to Medi White. Did some great work putting pressure there on the Paderborn defence and gets some reward there with a goal. Wurmblad makes a little bit of a mistake again in goal. Maybe he's the second choice goalkeeper for Paderborn, because so far not having a great game, but good work there from Cueto. Plays it to Krasnicki and it finds its way to White. He just pundles that one home off the back of a poor long barrier from Wurmblad. Bit of a cricket term there, but it's a fumble and White makes the most of it, and the former Houston Dynamo man picks up his 5th goal of the season, makes it 2-0. Down the other end, free kick there to Paderborn. Thankfully that one comes off the post, that header, and we do go into the sheds hopefully with a 2-0 lead. Thankfully we survived that slight scare from Paderborn, but that was a pretty good first half, and thankfully this time we are taking our chances. We go into the sheds with a cushion goal lead. Everyone out there's on a good rating, but unfortunately yet again Blomeyer has picked up a yellow card. It's kind of expected though with that ball-wing midfielder role that we did use. That's why we signed Manuel, and have still got Racine Bullock at the club, so he can come on at half-time yet again. But we're doing well. Hopefully we can just step it up a gear and put a bit of a hurting here on Paderborn, gain some confidence back off the back of that slightly heavy defeat to Bayern Munich. As I've gone on about a bit during today's episode, didn't actually feel like we played that badly in that game, but thankfully a bit more efficient in front of goal in this one. Try and play a ball over the top there for Krasniqi to grab a double nice and early in the second half, but it does find Wernblood this time. He pumps that one deep. Thankfully Bullock wins that one in the air. It's a bit of aerial ping pong, but thankfully Hurtado, the young centre back, will tidy that one up. These days he's worth around 40 to 50 million pounds. Not too bad for a player we only signed for 1 or 2 million. Now Sika makes his way down that right hand side, squares it nicely for Daniel Cueto. He grabs his 4th of the season, and we are putting Paderborn here under the pump, and hopefully that's the goal. Our third one should see us through to the third round of the DFB Pokal. I believe that's played in the early stages of the new year, but Sika making a big difference coming back into this team for Vochin after he suffered that food poisoning going in to that Bayern Munich game. 3-0 nice and early in the second half. Now a chance for us here from a corner. Bushuari goes near post. Can't quite find someone, but thankfully it's cleared back out to him. Camillo now up there to Escobar, just knocking it around here outside of the box. Bit of an audacious pass there from Camillo. Doesn't quite find someone that won the ball, and it is Paderborn's chance here to play out from the back, but Hurtado wins that one in the air. Escobar misses out, but thankfully Camillo does track back, and we can try and get back on the attack here. Racine Bullock plays that one back to the highly valued Hurtado. Good purchase in and around the later stages of transfer deadline day. Just taking our time here to build up from the back. Nice ball there from Bullock for Matty White. He just tries to chip the goalkeeper. That is a lovely patient goal, that one. Matty White grabs his second of this game. That makes it 4-0, and that should be all she wrote. Maybe now time for us to maybe bring on some real fringe players in this cup competition. But lovely ball that from Racine Bullock. Lovely chest up as well from Matty White. Sets it up nicely for that chip over Wernblood. This time gets blamed for the goal. That one actually feels a bit harsh. I thought those first half goals, he made bigger errors than what was seen just there. But 4-0 coming up to the hour mark. And again, we are on the attack. Can we really put a hurting here on Paderborn like we did to HJK in the first game of the Conference League? Bullock there nearly gets a shot off, but unfortunately doesn't. That was not much of a highlight. But now it's time for us, I think, to make some subs, give some more players some game time. Sika's down to a red heart. Want to keep him fresh, so we'll bring on Vochin in his place. Also, Hurtado might be a player worth giving a rest to, so Felix Sorte can come on for him. He could use a bit of game time in a situation like this. And now Bushuari actually has picked up an orange injury just off the back of getting playback underway. And also, Krasniqi is down to a red heart as well. So with our final 2 subs, I think those will be the ones that we do make. We'll bring on Angelo for Bushuari, although to be fair, Camillo could probably use a rest, so instead we'll bring on Ryan in his place. See if Ryan can do a decent job at centre back. Camillo, despite that suspension for that red card, apart from that, has quite a bit of endurance, so he can last a lot longer than our other centre back options. So we'll give him a rest here while we do get the chance, but it doesn't look like much is happening late in this game. But to be fair, we don't mind. Very good performance, 2 goals either side of half-time. It's 4-0. And that's the way it is going to finish. That was a very good performance. We pick up a convincing win over a team struggling down in the 2 Bundesliga. To be fair, I thought Paderborn might be doing a bit better in that division. They weren't. And thankfully, we make the most of it. Matty White picks up 2 goals. And also Daniel Cueto, he picked up 1 and might have got an assist as well with that rating. But that was a very good performance. Just what you want to see off the back of a loss to Bayern Munich. And thankfully, we're going to make our way through to the third round of the DFB Pokal alongside the likes of Bayern Munich and some other teams from the Bundesliga. Hopefully, we can come back shortly and show you guys who we're going to play in that round off the back of a convincing 4-0 win over Paderborn. So a nice bounce back win for us there in that second game of today's episode of 4-0 win over Paderborn in that second round of the DFB Pokal. Unfortunately, that injury to Bushuari was actually somewhat serious. He's out with a pulled groin. It does mean he will probably miss our next game in the league. But to be fair, it's not too bad a game to miss as we take on Sandhausen. They are bottom of the league and probably going to be struggling to stay up, having just come up from the 2 Bundesliga. But we've gone for it a few days. As you can see, we're only the day prior to that next league game because we have been waiting for the draw for that third round of the DFB Pokal. We've got it, and yet again we take on a team from the 2 Bundesliga, albeit this time one that's not struggling quite as much. This game isn't till January either, so it might be a little way away, but we take on Union Berlin. They got past Hamburg after extra time in the second round of the DFB Pokal. We were predicted to finish first, so to be fair, should be the strongest team in that 2 Bundesliga, but at the moment are just struggling a little bit. That could change by the time we do play them come the start of January, but again, that's quite a kind draw for us, taking on a team a division below us in that third round of the DFB Pokal. But I think that will do it for today's episode. Unfortunately, kind of got spanked by Bayern, albeit, as I've said a few times, don't think we played too badly and thankfully bounced back nicely with a bit of a rotated team with a 4-0 win over Paderborn in that second round of the DFB Pokal. If you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. We'll come back at the start of next week, just trying to find a game in the month of November that might be interesting. There's a couple of games either side of some Conference League ones, and to be fair, that Luzern game, they're a team with a higher reputation than you might expect, so that game could be a bit trickier than the previous ones we've played in the Conference League. So we could actually come back for that one in the not too distant future. And off the back of that, Hoffenheim doing a pretty good job in the Bundesliga up in fourth. So we might come back for those games in the middle of November and hopefully start to make our way through the season a little bit quicker off the back of that during the course of next week. As I said earlier, this week might be a season that takes a little bit longer with the addition of European football. We'll come back next week and get started with that Luzern Hoffenheim double. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.